The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewers, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host, Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are talking about self-awareness. Do you know yourself? What is self-awareness? Why is it important to have self-awareness? On the show, I have a guest who is going to help us understand more about this topic. Before she introduces herself, you can get us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Our guest.
Okay. Good morning. Happy New Year. My name is Pastor Pearl Blessing. I'm the director of Star with Pearl, mentorship program, motivating and preaching program. And we are here today to look at how we can be aware of self and how we can work on it. Yes.
Thank you so much, Pastor Pearl Blessing, for honoring our call. It's always a privilege having you on the show with your great insights.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about self-awareness. Being a new year, it's good when we start the year at a high note. After we have aligned our goals and resolutions, now we know ourselves. We understand ourselves better for us to be able to work through the 12 months or the
65 days.
Now we have reduced the days.
How many days?
340, 45. We've reduced some days.
Okay.
And with that, help us to understand what is self-awareness.
Okay. Self-awareness is knowing self. And now what is self? Mostly what carries self is our emotions, our motivators, our triggers, what causes us maybe to react in different ways. When you learn to understand those things, you are able to be on check. You can be able to do self-check so that you don't go wrong. Of self-check so that you don't become too humble and destroy yourself. You need to have that balance. So when you are aware of yourself, one of the things that you do is that you have the ability to monitor self, your emotions, to monitor your triggers, what triggers you to do things. Because it's usually within the soul realm. Yeah, you know, a man is a spirit, you have a soul and live in a body. But what makes you is within your soul realm, whether it's your heart, your mind, your emotions.
So now that you have helped us to understand that our awareness are built of our emotions, our moods, and how we think and relate when issues come. So why is it important for us to incorporate all this in knowing ourselves?
As you have said, that self-awareness is about self. And who is a man? A man is a soul. Because the spirit which is connected to God. The body is my house where I live. So all that happens in you is with the soul realm. That's where your mind is.
True.
A mind has a lot to do. It is connected to your heart and to your emotions. That is where you make your will. Decisions that you make, it is within all that. So if you are not stable, you need to learn to control, to know when to trigger, when to get motivated, and when to act. So you need to be able to always have a pause, not to be fast in making decisions, in doing what you do, because being hurt, being put to anger, bitterness and all that, it is inevitable. It is here with us and it will never go anywhere. When someone tells you that, forgive me, I will not do this again, be prepared, because they will do it again.
It's not a guarantee.
It has to be done again.
True.
So it's nothing like I will not repeat it because it is human. It is within the soul realm. So what we just need to do to be self-aware of ourselves is that ability to control and to know when to make a decision and when to go out, when to come in, when to act, and when not to take any action. Because if something happened here now, which someone may become and causes star unto us. And by that, what they have done, we are supposed to rebuke him or even take him out. But maybe you sit and just look at him. You will even go back and ask, and what has really happened to those people? I'll give you an example. I have a friend in Malawi that we do business together. So one day I called him. Then as we were talking, he was like he was being charged by something. Madam, which I called you. Then I said, excuse me, sir, what is happening? Someone has blocked me with their... Someone came out to the supermarket. I found someone had blocked him with his car. Then I told him, excuse me, become an observer today. Don't talk to that person. Go stand somewhere far from that person and see what will happen. And you'll find you could have been very stupid to have even rebuked that person. It was someone new in that town. He doesn't know how they do things. He came very sorry, apologizing. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Then you feel that remorsefulness. How he was so guilty. You could have rebuked him, maybe beaten him. You see, those people how they usually react. And he said, surely you have helped me. I told him, just become an observer.
True.
Stand somewhere away, as if you don't own the car, and become an observer. He looked for the owner of that car and came to apologize.
Very wise.
So that response, the stimulus, we call it the stimulus and the response. When you are stimulated to do something, how you are triggered, how your ability to control that.
Now I can just picture this man, him being a businessman, stooping to that level of going to argue or taking action at the first level of thinking, and the embarrassment that comes with it afterwards, after you realize
is remorseful.
it is so wrong, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, given that, a lot of us are in the position of learning ourselves, but at the same time confused of who we are, what we are made of, and what we want to become. We call it identity crisis. Can you help us to understand what is identity crisis in this perspective, now that you're talking about awareness? When should one know that he or she is going through identity crisis, and how to manage and be able to overcome it?
Let me give you an example. There's a time I did a show in mass communication. Someone was doing a project on these people who you find by birth, they are transgender. Yeah? So that person is not, there's not something that they wanted, they were born like that. So you find if you give birth to such a child, you feel embarrassed. You start doing operations maybe to make sure this child becomes a boy or a girl. But a man is a spirit. This is a body that person is living in. The gender is within the body realm. So this person knows whether it is a girl or anajijua, I'm a boy or I'm a girl as a spirit. So if the strength is on the girl and you're trying to push to become a boy, there's identity crisis comes in.
True.
You will push into that, do those operations, and put that child in a crisis in life. Now, let's go to a person like you. You have never understood. Let's be like myself when I told you that I was working as a civil servant and I was just there. I look at people who I left there. When they come to this themselves and know something else you can do out there. Because that person is comfortable. You get comfort because you are paid a good salary. You are doing your bills, you are doing everything, you are educating your children, but you have not started living. You have never known who you are. Because, like for example, me, I got employed at the age of 18 years old. If I got comfort in that job, the rest of my life I live there. I never become who I'm supposed to be. Because that was a process of where you are going. Because there's a process. You will go somewhere, you'll be taken, you go to school, you interact, you learn, and by that you are still supposed to be working to identify who you are. So it comes with seeking, identifying, and wanting to know. Immediately you start having that crisis in yourself. It's because there's need to know. There are those in that crisis because they don't even worry. They don't care who they are. They're just living. Immediately you start desiring. Because, as we said, a man is a thought of God. You are a word. God brought you for a purpose. That's why you are thumbprint. Nobody like you.
True.
Everybody, God brought them here for a purpose. And that purpose of God, for you to achieve it, you must desire to know. Desire like what? You have to be prayerful. There are those who will come out by people knowing them. Like me, I started this as a singer because I sing. I was going for a show like this just to talk about my music. But my host, like you, said, no, you can speak. Next time we are giving you a show. And someone brought it out. You see, people around you, some God will use them to bring out who you are. There are those that you will seek in your prayer. There are those who don't know how to pray. So God will cause people around them to bring out who those people are. And maybe someone will hold your hand and push you to go and become what you are supposed to be.
True.
So you need people. That's what we are talking about. Destiny helpers. Destiny connectors. Someone said sometimes we ignore the people around us. It doesn't matter however weak someone is, however poor someone is. That person could be carrying your destiny and you don't know.
You don't despise them
Don't
simply
despise.
because you're not in the same caliber of thinking or
maybe
class.
you have been desiring to get a job somewhere. And maybe a newspaper or a magazine is being sold in the jam. And you are not being sensitive. But maybe an angel is pushing this man to bring this newspaper near you. Even the police have stopped the jam just because of you. But you are not sensitive. So you need to be very much alert. How to become alert? You must be prayerful. You don't be alert because you are sharp. Yeah.
Given that example, it has reminded me when you're talking about the newspaper vendor, when they say that we had gone, I can't remember quite clearly if it was a conference or something, and you are told, you never know who is your destiny connector.
Yeah.
You never know who is your destiny helper. So when you are being asked, how did you know about this? Some will say, I had it through a social media. I had it through the television advert. Another one said, I saw a tout wearing a t-shirt.
Imagine.
Written. So this person is just wearing a t-shirt just for the sake of
But it's
wearing.
your destiny helper.
Not knowing that he's carrying a message for me.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, oh. Because most of us just wear without knowing what is written, or without even thinking what you have been written in whatever t-shirt or hood you're wearing. So this person is wearing a t-shirt with the information. And now this one was alert to see the information and to pursue it. And now this is how
They got it.
they got connected. And they changed.
I told you the highest level of strategy and with things out there done is by God. Look at Moses, the birth of Moses. You know, this time when you look at the time Moses is born, it was almost time when God wanted them to leave Egypt. But already they were at rest because they were eating good food and they are having what they want. But God had to staff around to start provoking them so that they may cry to him to bring a solution. Here Pharaoh now realizes that he wants to destroy these people. But God is very strategic. The child that he has chosen, he makes sure Pharaoh takes care of him, educates him, takes him through everything until he's through.
Wow, when Pharaoh has taken care of Moses as his own, only to come and realize that he's going to be used to save the people of Egypt.
Let me tell you one thing Moses learned which is very unique. I'm not taking time. in Egypt, witchcraft and sorcery is the way. So Moses, being a prince, he was very much taught in high level of witchcraft and sorcery. That's when God was meeting him at that mountain. He has to do something very unique that even the witchcraft of Egypt could not have done. He saw a burning bush which was not burning. Said, this I did not learn it in my L levels. And he was told, remove your shoes. Yeah.
That is so insightful, actually, and a very different dimension to look at it. Because all this we come to learn through what we go and what also the Bible being as our menu to go about this life in the correct way, to understand how God purposed to do things differently, since we learned from the former authors, or should we call them. So given that you have helped us to identify the crisis that we go through, and knowing ourselves and the importance of it all, so when do we now, having known that this is my crisis and this is how I should go about my emotions, how now do I balance it with my day-to-day life, with if I'm a student, if I'm a parent, if I'm working? How do I balance all this?
Emotions has no age.
Sure.
You'll find a very small child who has serious bad emotions, and you find a old person who has the same. So emotions, wherever at whatever level you are, you need to have your personal. It's called self-awareness. It is personal. It is not about others. It's about you. At whatever age you are. Let's say you are in school, and as we have said that Moses was a prince in the palace, but he was ordained by God for a mission. So for him to come to realize who he was, there must be people involved in order to bring him out to be. So there must be people around you. That's why we are saying, whoever there be a destiny connector, there are also destiny helpers who will help you to achieve what you want to do. But in self-awareness, you must work on self, both positive and negative, because most of the people have failed to achieve, have lost opportunities, have lost great jobs because of how they handle their emotions. And they are not aware of self. Because as we said, triggers and motivators and emotions, they affect your daily life.
On that note of triggers, emotions, and motivators affect our daily lives, we'd like to take a short break. We'll continue with these insightful thoughts that you're having in store for us. Viewers, we are going to take a short break. Continue sending in your question across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144.